Let's talk falafel. Who doesn't like falafel? I love falafel. And making falafel at home is actually easier than you think. What's up everyone? Chef Dave back with another cooking video. And today, let's talk falafel. And we're gonna do something really fun today with two different kinds of falafel, or I guess two different trains of thought is probably the better way of looking at it. So you got one train of thought that has leavener in it, whether it be baking powder or baking soda, and you have the other side that is straight up. The recipe itself is super easy, and it's a great recipe to make and then kind of get ahead, because this can actually sit for a day or two in your refrigerator and it's totally fine. It doesn't take a lot of prep. It takes a little bit of forward thinking with soaking the chickpeas, but that's it. We're gonna do a side-by-side today of leavened falafel and unleavened falafel. Let's do it. So these are your basic ingredients for falafel. Again, you can change the herbs or the spices around if you want. This is basically what you need to make them. The only real prep ahead, if you will, are the chickpeas. This is 1 pound of chickpeas that have been soaked overnight in water. And then you want to drain them really well, so you don't want any excess water in the chickpeas, okay? 1 large white onion, chopped up. Probably about 4 to 5 cloves of garlic peeled. 1 bunch of cilantro. 1 bunch of parsley, cut into about 1-inch pieces. Washed and drained very well. And this is just a melange of spices. We have salt, some Burberry, or you can even use a curry powder of your choice, or just cumin and coriander, paprika as well. These are our basic ingredients. So we are going to do this in like 2 batches. First, we're going to put our herbs in because they're lighter. Important to put them on the bottom, in my opinion. And then half our onion, 2 cloves of garlic. We're going to give the spices a little mix. Half our spices. And of course, half our dried chickpeas. Trying to get them actually in there and not all over the floor. I got a little wonky food processor. The lid doesn't really work right, so I got to hold it. But we're going to put this on. Now what you're waiting for is for it to kind of break down and start to form sort of an amalgamation, just come together. Think of it sort of like making pie dough or biscuits even, where you want things to come together, but you don't want to puree it too much either. A little bit more. Food processors can be funny sometimes. Sometimes they don't want to mix on themselves, if you will, turn the product over. So it's important that you do get in there with a spatula. And good. Pretty much perfect. You see how you've got kind of a combination. There's some pieces in there. There's enough that's ground far enough that you can form, you know, balls with it. See that? That's exactly what you're looking for. All right, now we do the second batch. All right, now that we've mixed, or we've ground both of the mixes, just stir them together, nice. And you see how they're forming kind of, you know, they'll form a ball, if you will. So now you can take an ice cream scoop or just simply your hands, so wet hands, and then you can form pinches into balls, just like that. And you're gonna form a bunch of them, but essentially that's all you're looking for. And now the awesome thing about this is you can take this dough, or whatever you want to call it. Now this will sit in your fridge for a day or 2 without any problem. You can prep this the day before and then fry it up when you need it. You can also fry them and then heat them later, but although I don't think they're quite as good reheated, I think they're best made, fried, and eaten however you want to enjoy them. Just like that. You don't want to make them too big, but that's about max size. All right, beautiful. So now we have our oil pretty much ready to go. Now the oil is interesting here because it's at 330 right now. You don't want the oil to go too far above 355, 360, or else your outside will caramelize too quickly and the inside won't cook enough, and you'll end up with that really raw chickpea flavor, which is kind of gross. And that 350 mark is where you want to live. Since we're doing it in a pot, we are going to keep the oil on, medium high to really maintain that temperature. Perfect. About just under 360. Okay, that's exactly where we want to be. Now we're going to You don't want to just smash them in. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to put too much. We're just going to do 4 total to start. So I want to see, you know, how they fry up, if they're frying well, that whole thing. Yeah, awesome. They're staying together. That's what's the most important thing. And these are going to take probably 4 to 5 minutes to fry. And we'll bring you back when they're ready. All right, these are looking good. This is about 3 minutes now. Looking real nice. Now we'll let these rest. And we'll drop the next ones. I'm going to drop 6 in this time. Nice. Okay. Now drop another 3, 4. That's why it's important to monitor the fat. I think that's the wheelhouse. About 6 for a pot like this. I think you're gonna get perfect color for texture on the outside. All right, so here's our second batch. Look at that. Oh yeah. And so you get that little dot of uncooked chickpea, especially if you're making circles. Sometimes that's why a lot of people make them kind of into ovals. But I've found if you let them rest, the steam carries it over beautifully. Take a look at one of our first ones. Yeah, look at that. That is perfection. Let's crack another one open and let's give it a try. Again, this is the steam coming off, perfectly cooked. You would see a sort of, I don't know what you would call it, but a raw center in there if they weren't cooked properly. Let's try it. Delicious. I mean, absolutely delicious. I mean, you can't go wrong. Texture is really good. But if you do want just a slightly fluffier texture, then you'd add a little baking powder. I'm gonna mix a little baking powder into the remaining batch, and we're gonna see what the difference is. I've added just about a teaspoon of baking powder to the remaining batch, and let's see what it's like. Okay, so this is super cool and interesting. These are the ones with the baking powder in them, and they are obviously floating up because they're a little lighter. We're gonna taste them when they're done, but I thought that was super interesting to kind of show you. These look great too, fantastic. It's gonna be fun comparing the two. Okay, so we're frying the last batch here, and you can kind of see the difference already. I mean, these are basically the same size when they started, but as you can see, the one with baking powder is slightly larger because obviously it puffed up. So first we've got the unleavened falafel. So let's crack that open. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful interior. I mean, super sexy. Smells great. I mean, that's super delicious. Seasoning is awesome. Lots of herbs. Just super tasty. Again, you can tell that it's unleavened. You know, it's a little denser. Again, I don't mind that. I think it's tasty in the texture, and it almost feels like it's more filling in a way. Really awesome. I would eat that any day of the week. Let's try the leavened falafel. All right, so like I said before, started off with the same size, but it's decently bigger than what the other ones are. So let's pop it open. Beautiful. Texture looks great. It does look a little fluffier inside, so that's interesting. It's really good. It's definitely lighter, obviously. It's interesting. Flavor's obviously the same, but the texture is vastly different. The others are definitely denser. This is much more delicate. So almost has like a more of a refined flavor, refined texture than the others. Really good. I think I might actually prefer the one with baking powder. I hope you try this at home. I mean, first and foremost, just falafel is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's unbeatable. It's just one of those flavors that is delicious. It's fresh, it's rich, it's filling. It's a good way to get, protein from chickpeas without having to add protein. Then you put that nice raita on top and game over, baby. Let me know if you try this at home. I'm super excited to hear about it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you comment, like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Thanks, everyone. Peace.